So welcome back, everybody. This is session 2 of the verifier training. We have one more session after this next week, and then we are done, and we will tell you a little bit more about the next steps after that. But yeah, first things first, I'd just like to say just some ground rules. Sorry, my PowerPoint is a little bit slow today. So we're going to have about 3 sessions, and we'll have short breaks in between. So I think we'll have a 10-minute break and a 5-minute break for those of you who want to know how long your breaks are. The recordings will be available after the course, so it's been quite difficult trying to get them in for people like throughout the course. So they will all be available after the course, as well as the slides, so you'll be able to review that. Well, it says please turn off your mobile devices. Yes, if you choose to come off mute, preferably do that so it doesn't disturb everybody. And then in terms of just using Teams today, there will be a few more kind of functionalities that we're going to use on Teams. Just so as you can see, this is your panel, and that's where you can unmute yourself. So if it looks like that, that means you're unmuted, but you should be muted. It'll have a line through it. Then this is so that you can take your video off if you don't want to be seen, you don't want to be recorded. And then here we have to be able to raise your hand, you would just click the little hand button. So that's so that we know that you have a question. And if you have a question and you'd like to pop it in the chat, there's also a chat function. And then we will be going into breakout rooms today. So that means that if you are in a breakout room and you need me for whatever reason, you can type @ so the arrobat sign, and then my name. So May would probably just work. And I can come into the room basically and see if you need any assistance. And then as well, there is the share button that I'd like to show you today because, oh, sorry. There's the share button here as well, which will kind of give you the ability to share your screen with people. So you'll be able to do that when you're in your breakout rooms, and we'll give you more instructions on how to do that in a bit. Okay, so in the last session, we mostly covered the purpose of the ancient tree inventory, and we talked a little bit about features of the ancient tree and some kind of, we talked about categorization, but we will be doing some recap about this next week. But more so this week, we'll be looking at practical verification skills. So I'll take you through the website and give you some kind of like a tour around what are the most important bits that you might need as a verifier. And we'll also talk about, well, just some tips that we've asked previous verifiers about. And we'll have some chance to do some exercises as well and use the website. So this is what the website looks like. I had a screenshot of it just in case we weren't going to be able to see the maps today, but luckily we will. So I'll actually take you through that right now. So I'll stop sharing and then I'll share my screen. Okay. So now you should be able to see what you would just normally see on the website when you sign in. So this is quite an important bit. So hopefully now you had a chance to look at the homework, which was reading the OS maps. Just out of curiosity, does anyone remember how to read an OS map on a, well, how to read a grid reference on a map? Do you remember what the kind of code was, or the does anyone remember that?
Along the corridor and up the stairs.
Yes,
Is that what you
exactly.
wanted?
That's exactly what I wanted. Thank you. So
The,
just to say that those are six grid, so that's to help you read off of like a 4 and 6 reference, 6 reference map. Um, but we actually use 10 grid references for ancient tree inventory. So um, if you can see here, this is actually a really good way to get that grid reference is so you have the latitude and longitude here, but then you also have the OS grid references with 10 numbers. So that's what we're looking for. So that kind of gives us, it gives us accuracy to up to 3 meters. So um, that's really useful. And now if, just so you know as well, this is the crosshairs. So I can kind of hover my screen over to where I think my tree can be. And if I suspect, for example, that my tree is here in particular, for example, it will then tell me exactly what the grid reference is to where, and it matches the crosshair. So that should be, this is kind of like if you think or suspect that someone has the tree in a different place to what it says on a record, you're kind of doing some detective work here to find where the actual tree is. And using this map is really helpful. And as I said previously, you can also have these different kind of layers. So you have the ordnance survey layer, which can be pretty good if you're looking for something like, for example, a church, and you wouldn't be able to see it as easily on this the kind of the satellite view because it's harder to see with buildings. So you can use this to help you. You can also use the historic map as well, which is really useful because it was made in the mid 1800s. So it kind of gives you a good estimate of how old a tree might be if it happens to be in a park, for example, that's been around for a long time. So I'm just scrolling around Oxford here, but as you can see, it kind of adjusts to that. Okay, so that's the map. Now, let me just tell you a little bit more about the dashboard. So this is now that you're a verifier officially on the website, you'll be able to see a couple more things on the dashboard than when you were a recorder. So I think the first thing we can look at is my trees. So this is a new account for me, so I won't be able to see anything here yet. But if you've already recorded trees, this is where you'll be able to see my trees. Um, so this is just to say that you can verify your own trees as well. So not only will you be able to verify other people's trees, but you can verify your own trees. But the website's quite slow right now, so let's try something else. So if you go into verify trees, just giving it a moment. Tim, did I miss anything about the map, by the way?
On the historic map, the trees that you can see on hedgerows or in open fields are actually real trees. The symbols where you've got a woodland or an orchard is just a stamp that they produced. But where you can see them on corridors, on hedgerows or in fields, they've actually marked the position of a real tree, which was actually worth a lot of money in those days. So it was a valuable possession. And if you flick between a satellite view and the historic map view, you can sometimes see that tree that's marked on the 1880s map is still there now. You can flick between the two maps. So it's a good way of seeing is an area have some historic trees that were recorded back then.
Yes, thank you. Okay, so this is just to say that like if you have already put your postcode in your preferences, which is something I showed you last session, um, and then you also say how far you're willing to travel for a tree, then your list of trees that you can verify will show up here. So just to remind you, this is in verify trees. But momentarily, you can also change that. So you can make it you know, for the time being, if you only wanted to see trees that are within 10 miles from you, then you can click this as well. Um, I should say as well, if you live in a coastal town or something like that, or you'd like kind of a larger catchment, you can change the postcode. It doesn't necessarily have to be exactly where you live, but say, for example, you lived in the outskirts of London and you wanted to cover all of London, then you could find a postcode central to London. So I did that for Oxford, where I looked at, I put the postcode as the railway station, which is quite central. So here is my list of trees. And as you can see here, there's 26 of them. So I can go through the different pages. So I can click through and see who's recorded trees. So for this one, for example, no image. So I can show you how to message the recorder to say, hey, can you please add an image for this tree? Um, as well, what you can do is pin certain trees. So if you find that there's one that's pretty close by and you will visit it tomorrow, you can do this. So you can click this little checkbox. And then if I then filter to pin trees, then it'll show me this specific one that I clicked. So you can do that for multiple trees, and then you have a list of pin trees. But let's go back to all. And just as well, I can filter these from newest to oldest or oldest to newest, depending on, you know, who's recorded, I guess, the latest kind of record. So the oldest one that has yet to be verified in Oxfordshire is from 2008, and it tells me that it's 6.8 miles away. So as well, this is interesting. You can not only can you see this in list view, but you can see it in map view as well. So if you click this little icon here, it shows you all the unverified trees on a map. So it'll only show up as these kind of gray icons. So there you go. You can see how far they are and whereabouts they are on the map as well. And you can hover over those trees and you can take, you can take the grid reference. You can get as close as you want and take the grid reference. Okay, so I think we have that. And then I'll take you through the, so there's two differences here. So there's my messages and verifier messages. So my messages are messages in which you've directly messaged a recorder, and it will show in your messages if they kind of respond back to you. Whereas verifier messages are pretty much all of the messages that are within the remit of the kind of area that you've decided to to put. So in this case, 10 miles. So it'll take a while to load. I'm really sorry about this. But you'll be able to see all the messages between recorders and verifiers of all the trees in your catchment area, basically. I hope that makes sense. So if a verifier is already on the case, often we just kind of let them do their thing, but then they can also you can speak to yourselves amongst verifiers. I'll show you how to do that in a little bit. There's a kind of comment, like a comment box section where you can write a verifier comment. Okay, so this is taking a while to load, so I will go to, I'll try again, but as you know, today the website was acting up a little bit. I should say as well that if you see an icon like this, then this is kind of whether a message has been opened or not. So in this case, I think it depends, doesn't it, Tim? Like whether the
Yeah.
recorder or the verifier has opened the message.
So on that common line you're on at the moment, it means there is a message about that, but nobody's opened it to read it. And the one below, the one about the common beach, means somebody's opened and read the message, but not replied to it. It's not been concluded yet.
Yes, exactly.
So I think the thing is, you've just got to take the time to read the conversations on the messaging. I'm trying to load it up as well, and those messages are not coming up for mine either. So I think everybody's going to have to go and explore that when they get home sometime over the next week. And
Yes.
you can see the kind of conversations that are going on between verifiers and recorders. The only thing about that that's really important, the messaging system only works on the ATI inventory. So they're not sending emails to people.
Yes,
So
so
unless somebody comes and logs into this, they will not pick up any of these messages.
exactly. So that's to say that if you have messaged a recorder about a particular tree, meaning that you need more information or you need them to add a picture or you want some more clarification about the location of the tree, then you can message the recorder, and I'll show you how to do that if it lets me. And it doesn't mean that it will trigger an email into their inbox. It will only mean that they can open a message if they've logged into the website. So if you're waiting on a recorder to respond to you and it's been, I don't know, maybe a week, couple of days, whatever, depends how urgent it is or if the tree is under threat, for example. You can always email the ancient tree inventory inbox, and we can get in touch with the recorders and email them directly to say that they have a message waiting for them. So that's an option. And I can tell you how to do that. So for example, this tree, it'll say pending verification. It's not been verified yet. And if you wanted to message the recorder, then you would find it in this kind of list here. So it'll say, where is it? Send message to a recorder. So just here. You can also edit the record. So if you've visited the tree, for example, you can edit it here. So you'll see pretty much all the information about the tree. Often recorders will not have added, these kind of important aspects like, um, whether there's epiphytes or fungi, evidence of invertebrates, evidence of bats. You'll be able to know who recorded this, and when it was recorded. And there's also this kind of location and access comment. So the recorder can write comments about accessibility of where the tree is. So it can say things like the tree is next to, um, this, like the A47. I don't know if that actually exists as a road, and it's visible from the road, but feel free to knock on our door to approach the tree. So here it seems like this is a tree that someone lives next to, or it might even be on their land. So that's quite helpful with trying to access the tree. And as you can see, you can kind of change all this information. So say that it wasn't measured correctly. This person measured 3 meters 96, and you saw that it was in fact 5 meters. You can put that there. And you can also give it its status. So it'll say, if I go down a little bit, where is it? Sorry. Here it is. So veteran status. So you've made the assessment and you think it might be a veteran tree, for example, and you would be able to put it there. And as well, this is really helpful if you think that the tree might be in a different location. You can change the location of the tree here within the record. So you can move the crosshairs around, and you can say, okay, well, I think the tree is here actually. So let me put my crosshairs here, and that
We
will
can't see the crosshairs very well, May,
Oh,
but if you
okay.
can just the crosshairs are always in the center of the screen in the image. I can see them now.
Yes. Or if you have a grid reference that you've like used from either an app or a GPS device, then you can also paste it here, and it will move the crosshairs to where the location of the tree is. And then all you have to do, you wouldn't want to touch it after that. Once you've reviewed all the information, you would either save the record, which means that the record is then saved but not verified, but you could come back to it if you needed more information, or you could verify the record. So that would appear as no longer as a gray icon or a gray pin, but it would have the color attributed to it, so orange or green or purple. Okay, I think I will stop here because I think Tim will mention this as well in the exercise,
Mhm.
and I'll also tell you a little bit more about some practical verification skills. So just some tips that we can use. Okay. So moving on now to practical verification skills. Sorry, just 1 second. My PowerPoint today is very slow. Okay. So this is based off of the fact that we've asked some verifiers in the past for some tips. So the first tip was, if you are out on the field, you wanted to kind of not use your phone, because sometimes the ATI admittedly can be quite slow on a mobile device, then we have a recording sheet that can be used and downloaded from the website. So it looks like this, and it allows you to kind of capture multiple trees. So as you can see here, this column would be for one tree, the next, and then the next. And you also have your extra kind of information that you'd want to add as well, that you want to include in the survey. So things like if there are presence of epiphytes, if you see any deadwood in the crown. So this is quite good, but it does require some kind of knowledge of these kind of these aspects of the tree, like the condition and the wildlife. Tim also has a pretty good recording sheet that is more of a tick boxing kind of sheet. So you'll be able to see all the different options. So for example, is there moss? Is there lichen? Is there, and you can tick. So this is so that you have all the options that could possibly be on the website. As well, something that we have mentioned to you about with the grid references is, so people use different things to kind of to find a grid reference. You can either use, a GPS device, or you can sometimes use a map even. You can use the ATI website, but you can also use an application on your phone. So I believe for the iPhone one, it's called GPS OS. If you don't have it already, it's fairly simple to use. And the one for Android is called OS. Is
Grid
it
reference, grid
Grid
reference OS. Yeah.
Grid Reference OS, correct. And I've been told that this one, it automatically goes to a six kind of number grid reference, and you would have to change it to a 10 in the settings. So that's just a heads up. And now just moving on to a scenario where, for example, you go to a site and you recently you visited it and you've seen that there's quite a lot of trees to verify. So, what do you do? As well, when you go to the site, you use your recording forum, you add all the information for each of the trees, you've taken lots of pictures, and then you think, oh, well, which tree belongs to which record? So, what, oh gosh, they're all mumbled jumbled up now and I don't know what to do. So, um, someone had a really good tip, which was that if you use the mobile device, so if you use the app for your grid reference finder, you can take a screenshot of the grid reference on your phone. Um, so that will kind of help you. You can kind of separate the different trees with that. So it'll say, if you do the grid reference and then you take pictures of the trees, you'll know that this is where the tree is, and as well these are the pictures pertaining to it. So that will be easier to kind of upload later on when you're back on your laptop at home. Um, Also, there is a nice way of determining where the tree is. Apparently, our mobile phones are really, really intelligent, and you can find the location of the tree through the metadata. If you swipe up on an image, it kind of shows you where the tree is on a map. So that's really useful as well if you've forgotten to take the grid reference for whatever reason. And there is also the option for Android. So you can swipe up again as well. And you can see there's a tree on a map here, so really useful. Okay, So this is my portion done with practical verification skills. And I'm going to pass over to Tim now, who's going to tell you a little bit about how we measure girth. Because if you remember, part of the homework was to read up on how we would measure different kind of trees of different forms. So over to you, Tim.
Thank you. Thanks for that. If you just leave that slide on for a minute. Here's a chance for you to put some ideas forward. I just want some thoughts on why we bother measuring girth at all when we're recording trees, and why at a set height and so on. If anybody has any ideas, anything you want to say, please raise your hand and I'll call you in if I can. Why do we measure the girth of trees? What are the reasons for doing it? James, go for it.
Hello.
Hi.
Yeah, I'd say it gives you sort of a general understanding of like how old the tree could possibly be. And then
Yep.
after that, you can assess its age. So you just get a good understanding of, you know, the estimation really.
Yep, that's good. So it's an indicator, one indicator, interestingly, of the tree's age. And as we know, that's not quite straightforward all the time. Thank you for that. Barry,
Yeah,
have you
thank
got
you.
something?
Yeah, it was about another item anyway, but it's actually the language. If someone says that they found a 5-meter girth tree, a verifier will know immediately what that might look like.
Yeah.
So I think it's a very useful way of describing things as a starting point.
Yes, it is. It is indeed. And then there's other things we might say, like what the form of the tree is as well. But it gives you an understanding of the scale of it. Chris, have you got another one for us? You mute song, Chris. Sorry.
Yeah, you're right there. Yeah, just a simple thing that the older a tree gets, the bigger the girth, bigger the circumference gets in general.
Yeah.
So that's a good reason. And also, depending on the slope as well, you sort of measure up so the higher part of the slope. And you don't want to be too high on the tree because if somebody comes in and who's small, they wouldn't be able to. So it's got to be a reasonable height as well to so that more people so that people can get to that height, and also where there's a good position to measure as well.
Thanks for that.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
And we'll talk a little bit more about where you measure as well. One more. I've got who else have I got? Rich, is that have I said Richard before? Richard, have you said and you have spoken?
Not yet, no.
Go for it. Last one, and
Yeah.
then we'll move on a bit.
Yeah, I was looking at an elm tree today, and a low limb around about 1.5 meters had quite a large limb that had come off, leaving quite a concave area in the trunk.
Yeah.
So if I was measuring that, would I measure it within the concaveness, or would I?
Yeah. Well, you're asking another question that we're going to go on to next. We're going to go on to this next. And it's brilliant. It's really important. But anything else, really, when we're talking about measuring it, why on earth we're bothering to do it? First of all, you said it's going to give you an indication of the age of the tree. Okay, and that is useful for one very good reason also, is because we want to classify the tree. We want to say whether it's ancient or veteran or notable. So the girth is going to be part of that debate, isn't it? So it's a good baseline. Somebody once said also it encourages you to walk around the tree. So often you might see a tree from one side and you might not realize what's going on the other side. So it's very important to actually get to know all parts of the tree wherever you can, if you can get on both sides of it. So that's really good. So if leave you all on mute for a moment. On the website, I'm going to share my screen now. So Just bear with me a second. Right, you should be able to see a page of the ATI at the moment with some tree images on it. And this is on the ATI, and it has a few notes on those very questions as where you measure the tree. And we have to have some basic common ground because it's part of, as you said, the language we're using between us as recorders. So we always say you measure a tree at 1.5 meters when it's a straight trunk, a maiden tree. They're not all like that, as we know. So it's giving you indications here on this screen of when the tree's on sloping ground, you measure the 1.5 on the high side. If the tree is leaning over, nearly falling over, you measure the 1.5 on the shorter side, nearer to the ground. It kind of looks the same if you tilt those two pictures up. It's the shorter side, and it tells you all sorts of stuff here about when the tree branches out, that it branches out below 1.5 meters, so you don't want to go measuring it up in the branches. You've got to drop down to a narrow point lower down. Please ignore the one on the right because there's something gone amiss with the text and that image, but the basic rule is where it's branching, you come down below it. Here it is where you've got a knobbly tree or a bird tree, or just as we've spoken about where a branch has come off, you drop down. Okay, you want the narrowest point below 1.5. And a multi-stem tree or a coppice, you're measuring at the base where all of the tree bits come together. So that's measured low down. Now, you need to know a bit of that because I'm going to give you some exercises now. So I'm going to change it over to a new page. And what we're going to do in this exercise, we're going to split you all up into 4 groups. So there's going to be, I don't know how many people on each one, 6 or 7 people in each group. And that will be done automatically. And May will explain how that will be done. And you will suddenly find yourselves looking at exactly the same shared screen of people's faces, but it'll be a much smaller group. And there will be a group that has the yellow trees. There'll be 2 of them. You see that group 1 in the corner? This is a tree that you've got to work with. There's another one for group 1 that looks like this. When you're in group 2, you'll have the green trees. There's 2 there. When you're in group 3, you'll only look at the blue trees. And when you're in group 4, you'll only look at the pink trees. Okay, so the idea is you'll get, this is a demo, so I can show you this demo. Oh, I've got some lines on there. I better remove them first. Sorry about this. Okay, so what you can do, what we're asking you to do, see that question on the right, where would you measure the girth of the tree? Now, this isn't straightforward, and we've deliberately picked some trees that are not straightforward, and we want to encourage a discussion and a debate between you to think of different things and different reasons. When you're showing on this, one person, well, anybody can do this. On the left, you can see a pen symbol. Can you all pick that out over there? If you click that pen symbol, so it's dark, click and go across and it gives you different colours. Pick whatever colour you like. I'm going to go yellow. So I've now got a pen that does a yellow thing. And I can now go over to the picture of the tree and scribble where I think maybe we should do the measurement. And you all see that yellow line. Somebody else might come in and say, oh, no, that's wrong. I think you should do it up here. And you can have a debate. And over here, there's an eraser just below it. You can take that eraser and say, no, we're all going to agree it's going to be the top one. So we'll rub out that bottom one. And if you want to give any indications of heights or things like that, you can pick up the pen, you can pick a different color, and you can draw a line somewhere else that says that's the height that you would measure it. Okay, so you're putting some information, scribbles. There can be scribbles on here, you know, you can do that and make a bit of a mess of it. It's all right. It's just about the debate and the conversation. So each of your little groups will have 2 trees on this Jamboard, and you must concentrate that you go to the right group, because we don't want you going on somebody else's page and messing up their trees. And then what we'd like you to do is just to nominate one person from your group to give us a bit of feedback on the trees after the exercise, because after you've done this, we're all going to get back together in one group, have a look at one picture at a time, and just get no more than 2 minutes feedback on each tree. We thought it was here, but we weren't sure about it, or we had a huge debate. We didn't know whether to measure it this side or that side. In the end, we thought it's probably this one. I'd also like you to tell us what the tree form is. Okay, so we've already learned a bit about tree forms. These are going to be tricky, but we want you to have a go at the same time to tell us in your 2 minutes for each tree which one to do. So you'll be given a group colour. You'll be set in a breakout room. You look at these pictures on the top. You can see, don't do number 9 at the top, because I've just done that. You've got to then flip to your colours, and when you find your colours, I'm going to do the yellows here. There we go. So that team group 1 is going to be picking a colour and drawing things all over there. Okay, so May, do we have a break time now and then come back to the groups?
Yes, so we have a 10-minute break, and I will arrange people into different groups. And when we get back, I'll let you all know what group you're a part of. So don't worry about anything now. Just go have a rest. You've heard me enough. You've heard Tim enough. So have a cuppa, and we'll get back here at let's say 6:55. All right.
6:50. Okay.
See you in a bit.
See you in a bit. I think lots of people are still staying on for a chat.
Well, they did last week, Tim.
Yeah,
and I ended up
you were running a second class, weren't you, in the interval?
I was almost, yes.
Well, that's all right. They get more for the. Oh, there's only us now. Look,
well,
they've all gone now.
There's not much point in me teaching you anything.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a laugh, isn't it? I think 6:55. She's left a lot of time. Did she say 55?
Yeah, she did, which was.
I did.
Oh, it's quite a long break, that one, mate.
A very generous 10 minutes.
Oh, I think it's because the time on my phone says it's 2 minutes ahead often. So I think that's probably I was reading the time. Well, that's okay.
Okay, we got a quarter of an hour break, but it doesn't matter. Well, I hope people will work out. I hope your group chats, your groups work out. How many people were here?
There seems to be less
27.
than last week.
27. So we've had a dropout of some, and you've had apologies, haven't you?
Yes.
That's good. Right. Have you done this exercise, Alan, before?
No, this is all new to me.
All right.
But and that's really why I'm listening in.
All right.
I would hope that I would get at least half of them right.
How about there's no right answer, you see. We picked
That's
really
absolutely
difficult
true.
ones, and
Yeah.
of course you can't walk around the tree, can you? So you don't see the full picture. So it's a conversation.
That's right. Have you put me in a group, or do I get half an hour off?
No, we're putting you in the group as well.
Oh,
Good.
I'm just paying a quick visit.
Well, it's all right. We can talk to Barry now, who's joined us, and
Yeah,
for the
just
coffee break chat.
a general comment. I went out to do my tree today, and I was arranging with the owner to say that he was happy for it to go live, but I did want to ask the question, if the current owner wants it live, but the land changes hand and the new one doesn't, can we hide that record in response to the new owner's request?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it can be
Yeah.
taken off the publicly visible area.
Yeah.
By being hidden after the new owner says, nope, I don't want people on my land.
Yeah, we did that a few years ago up at
Yeah.
Thorpe Perrow, which isn't that far from you. It was a strange situation because we were given permission by the Arboretum curator at Thorpe Perrow to go and record all the trees, not in the Arboretum, we'd already done that, but in the parkland adjacent,
Yeah.
which had some really wonderful native oaks and so on. So we did all of that and put them all up on the website, and everything was fine and so on. But then the estate manager, well, he was the lord of the manor actually, decided he didn't want the general public seeing his trees, around the house. So he asked us to remove them, and it wasn't difficult. Basically, I think we have to do it once at a time. We just click on the tree, and you go down. You go down and say hide the tree. I don't like doing it at all.
No, I don't. And he was quite happy at the moment, but I'm aware that when land does change, the new owners might be either more generous or less generous.
It's possible, yes, but as you say, it's something that we'd really rather not do if we can get away with it.
Yeah.
For too many good reasons.
Yeah, I mean, technically, it's actually on the footpath. So in technical terms, if you walk off the footpath to go and see this tree, you've trespassed. It's about 5 meters away from the path. So you can see it from the path, but legally you can't trespass to go and touch it.
I think legally, if you're on a footpath, all you're legally allowed to do is walk along the path.
Exactly, you can't stop.
You're not really supposed to stop, take photos, and measure any tree that's on.
No.
Not legally. No, you're not supposed
It's
to.
weird,
but,
isn't it? Yeah.
And actually, that's happened at Thorpe Perrow. That he wanted even the half dozen trees that were on the public footpath taken off and put on the hidden layer.
Yeah.
Which I thought was a bit unfair.
That's a bit unfair, yeah.
Nonetheless, what can you do?
I mean, if it's a tree in a hedge and the hedge goes alongside a footpath, then you can actually literally touch it from the footpath without trespass. Then you can actually go up to it. But it's just these little nuances that we have to be careful of.
Well, you've got to be careful, of course. I mean, the whole subject of access is fraught with complexity. If you're, I tend to tell people that they're on a public footpath. It's fine to photograph a tree, and usually to measure it. You have to be a little bit careful if the public footpath is immediately adjacent to a private farm or a farm building. It makes sense to measure the tree and take photographs when the farmer's not looking at you and doesn't have his dogs off the lead and all that sort of thing, because you might want to know what you're doing. But the other aspect is if you're in a public footpath crosses a field, and as you've explained yourself, if there's trees 10, 20 meters away from you, but there's no fence between you and the tree, is it okay to go and measure the tree? Well, theoretically, no, but who's to stop you and who's to see you? And those are the two questions you have to ask yourself.
Tricky ones,
yeah. But it doesn't happen all that often. You'd be surprised how many times you find that actually you're on National Trust land, or you've been given a blanket permission, as we were up at Duncombe, to go into very large areas of the North York Moors. So there was no problem there.
Well, the issue that I might personally come across every so often is if you can't actually get to the field, get to the tree, but you can launch a drone from a public place, you can fly the drone to the tree and photograph the tree with the drone, and nobody can stop you.
That's right. Yeah, absolutely. Well, my son has a drone, and I'm just thinking of borrowing it, actually.
Yeah. So there are ways around it. You can't measure it, but at least you can get close to it and start looking for veteran characters on it.
Well, drones are potentially very useful, because if you ever get to the point, particularly with conifers, of needing to identify which particular fir it is, and the only way you can often find out which fir it is to actually take a picture of the cone at the top,
in the top,
because that's the only place there'll be cones. So you can't wait for one to drop on your head. So yeah, drones have their use.
They also get stuck in trees as well.
I did that.
Many an example.
I pressed the home button on mine, and the first thing it did was climb, and it was underneath the tree canopy, so it went straight into the tree and lodged itself on a branch.
Oh no!
So that was a bit expensive.
Yeah. There was a famous video of an ancient tree in Norway, and really big ancient tree, old tree, and they put the the drone up, and it got stuck in the tree, and then they had to get all these different types of equipment to be able to get people up. They got like a fire crane hoist thing to get somebody up there to the top of the tree to pull it out. It's quite a famous video, that one, online. So I'm hoping all this breakout rooms is going to work nicely. It's quite good fun, because you don't do anything, you just sit there, but you suddenly find yourself in a new group. So I don't know how that's gonna be.
I must say, I don't really like these jam boards very much. I find I'm struggling to find where it is on my screen, but no doubt I'll cope.
You will cope, because May is going to put a link on the chat that is going to take you directly into the Jamboard. In fact, I can probably do that here. Copy. It isn't on the chat at the moment, is it? So,
no.
Right, let me add that in. Right, so there's a link, and in theory, well, hello May, I've just put a Jamboard link on because somebody was asking, so
great.
See if that works for you. If you press that link, you should come in. Oh, I've seen somebody joined. Many people are joining now.
Oh, okay. Let's.
But we need the they're not all back yet, are they? It's nearly time.
How do I get back to where I was? Oh, I press meeting Microsoft. That's how I get back.
Oh,
it's great when you know how it works, isn't it?
Yeah. So the idea is, when you get split into the Jamboard room, and May's just going to explain this, aren't you, May? The breakout procedure, and give you your what group you're in and so on.
Yes.
You're then going to work as a team. Okay.
Oof.
Somebody's moving my post-its around there. You're going to work as a team, all right, just to get the some of the answers, and you've actually got to draw things on the photograph and have some conclusions on where you might want. And you might say, well, it depends on something about the tree. And if it depends, you can show us one place where you'd record it if it was this, and another place you'd record it if it was that. It's okay to put options on. And we know very well you should be walking around the tree and you should be looking around it, but you've only got one photograph here, so don't waste time saying it depends on this. Just use that as a means of discussing.
I think
So,
James had a question before we talked about the rooms.
James, have you got it? Now I can see you now.
Yeah.
Thanks, James.
It was just, it stayed on raised hand for some reason. I'm not sure why.
Oh, you can just click the hand again and it should come down.
Oh, right.
There you go.
Oh, there we are. Yeah.
But did you have a question?
Not at the moment, no.
Okay, good.
Saving it for later.
Yeah.
So I think, I don't know if everyone's back. It is now 6:55, so people should be back. But I'll just explain to you how it works. So as Tim said, he's shared the link to the Jamboard in the comments section, and it should be kind of similar to the way that we used Jamboards last time. So it means everyone can contribute, everyone can participate. So if you have the Jamboard open, you're able to draw on the Jamboard. But we do suggest that we just assign someone, as Tim said, to do the drawing, and then you can all have a look and discuss. So I'll tell you what the rooms are. There's quite a lot of people on this call. So we have 7 people per room, and there is a room with 6 people. So quite a lot of opinions and expertise as well. So that's good. So I'll let you know what your rooms are so that you know what trees you have to do. So room 1 means that you will do trees 1 and 2. So that's Claire, so Claire Inglis, Monica, Rich. I think we have another Richard, but this person is called Rich. I don't know who that is, but Shane, Edward Baker, Paul Finn, Lisa, and Catriona. You're all part of room 1. Then room 2, we have Pamela Johnston, we have Barry Wright, James, Debbie Ping, Sue Rankine, Chris Harris, and Lucy Turner. So room 2, you will do trees 3 and 4. Then we have room 3, Alan Hunton, Kaz, Jeremy, Richard Tilling, Katie, and Richard. I think we have 3 Richards, and David Chammings. I'm really sorry if I can't distinguish which Richard it is, because we have one Rich, we have one Richard, and we have a Richard Tilling. And so room 3 will be doing trees 5 and 6. Okay, and then room 4 is only 6 people. We have Rob Doyle, Laura C., Pam, Robert Watson, Inga, and Alistair. And you will be doing trees 7 and 8. So hopefully that's clear, and you can navigate to the trees that pertain to your group. And now I'll just let you know you have 20 minutes to discuss amongst yourselves. And as I said, if you need my help, you can @ me in the chat. So you can write May with an @ and then I can come into the room if you need any help. I'll just be going through the rooms anyways. So 20 minutes, and then I think it'll say when the 20 minutes are over, you can either opt to come back in the room, there'll be a button you can click, or it will take you back automatically. Okay, so I will now, oh, sorry.
Sorry, mate, yeah, nominate one person in each group to give us the feedback, and we'll do feedback for 2 minutes for each tree.
I think you can decide amongst yourselves who will do the feedback, if that's okay. I
That's
just don't
what I
want to call
meant.
any names out. Oh, yes,
No,
indeed.
I said they should nominate
Okay,
somebody in
yes.
each group. That's great.
Indeed. All right, so I'll open the rooms now, so you should see things differently. Happening.
Signed room in 10 seconds. It's exciting, isn't
Benoing. Oh, wow.
Something is happening.
Something is.
We're all going away.
On hold, on hold.
Oh, off they go. Okay. Oh, it's successful.
There's me and you.
Yeah.
We're in a group. Oh, great.
We're in a group. We're in a group. I couldn't assign you actually. That's quite interesting.
You couldn't assign me. Okay.
No.
Ooh. So let's see. Yeah.
Yeah, it's strange.
So
Okay.
20 minutes. So 7:20. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. I did set it. There was someone who joined, so I had to cancel all the rooms, but I did set it to
Oh.
automatically bring them back in. But if we
Yeah.
do 7:20, that's fine. This is going really well, Tim. We're on time.
Yeah. It's good. It's good.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm really pleased.
I'll just see how they work with the chat. I think we need to go in the groups to see.
Yeah, so I think I'll start going around and seeing how people are getting on.
People are moving text around on the boxes. I can see it.
Oh no.
Yeah, they're doing weird things. Somebody keeps moving the pictures.
Stop. Okay, I'll go into the rooms and see if everyone's okay.
There's no way I can, is there?
No, it's so annoying. How can I move you into a room? No, I can't. You're apparently, yeah,
But I can't see.
Can you see your rooms? No, you probably
No,
can't.
gallery speaker together mode, large gallery. No, I can only see me and you, and when you go, that's it.
Oh. Okay, well,
don't worry. You float. You float.
Yeah, I'll be back.
And get the conversation. I'll stay around. You can always come back to me if you want.
Okay, group 1's fine. They're already drawing on their tree. That's good.
Yes, I can see the trees. I can see what's being drawn on them, which is group 3 haven't done anything yet.
Okay, let me have a look. What trees do group 3 have again?
5 and 6. They're blue.
Yes, thank you. Okay, they just had their screen share, so one of them is sharing screens, but now they're talking about the tree.
Okay. Oh, brilliant.
And then group 4 was it was 7 and 8, wasn't it? I'll have a look.
Yeah.
Okay, all good. And I've just missed room 2, so I'll join them now.
Okay.
Okay, I don't know what room was that in. Sue Rankin was there. Oh, room 2 is finished.
Yeah. Do you mean group 2?
Yes. Sorry, I see them as room 2, but yeah, group 2 is
Yeah,
finished.
yeah, and yeah, most of them are pretty well finished, aren't they?
Yeah, I think 20 minutes is quite a lot, so
Yeah.
we might.
Well, can I ask you when you if you go through each one, ask them if they've got the tree form sorted,
Yeah.
and say, are you ready to finish in earlier in 2 minutes or something?
5
And we
minutes,
can,
yeah.
yeah, we can finish earlier, but you
Yeah.
might just need to ask. But ask them about the tree form.
All right.
Just something in their heads, that's all.
Yeah, good point. And I've the ones I've really finished, I said go look at other people's trees and just see if you can. How would you do it?
Right.
God, whose room was I in? Oh, okay.
You're back.
Okay, last room, I'm gonna ask them and then I'll close the rooms. Okay, last group needs, maybe they just need to draw on the tree because it seems like they have differing views on, you know, where the measurement needs to go. And I've let them know that they, you know, they should remember what tree form as well and assign someone to talk about it. Quite a
Oh,
lot. They were
they've
just
got lots.
chatting.
Oh, heck.
Okay,
Right.
well, I think I think we'll go back. So let me, I'll give it 2 more minutes and then we'll.
I'm gonna am I sharing my screen rather than
Yes.
they doing it? Yeah,
Yeah, if that's okay.
but I'll let everybody come in before I share the screen.
Mm. I think, by the way, for the break, can we just move it to, I don't know, do we still want to break after we have the feedback?
Well, we did have it in for 7:35 to 7:40, and that will probably be finished a bit before then, maybe. It seems early for another break, but
Yeah, I think we could have the break after the second exercise if you want.
and then we have time for questions, but
Yeah, and
oh,
homework.
maybe after the exercise and before feedback, because we didn't allow time for feedback in that second exercise, and we do need to do that, don't we?
Yeah.
So I think we might have a bit more time. I'd rather leave the break a little bit longer because we're going on till 8:30. So long as we've got the break finished by about 7:45 or 10 to 8, that would be all right.
Okay. So I'll remove the break. We'll do some feedback, amending records feedback, and then we'll try and get the break in at 7.
Well, we'll just see the timing, and we'll say now's a good time for the break. It'll have to be just before they do that big exercise or just after they do that big exercise, and that will be the question where to have it. And the exercise could be a long one.
Yes.
Why did it allow 40 minutes? Maybe
we need more for that one. Anyways,
no,
let me.
no, less is what I'm saying.
Oh, for this one, yes. For this one, we need less.
No, this one, yeah, but sorry, what I meant, the second exercise, it allows 40 minutes.
Yeah, so 30 minutes of them doing the work, like doing the amendment. Yeah,
Sounds
they might.
like a lot. It sounds like a lot of time.
Okay, we'll see how we get on, and then we'll do the break after that. Okay.
Depending on the time, yeah, depending where the time is, we can. I'll ask you. I'll ask you.
Okay. Okay.
Is this the right point?
Yeah. Okay.
Bring them back in.
Bring them back. So they have
Oh, look who's here. Everybody's coming back together. Hi, folks. I was watching some of your scribbles online on all the different trees, but I couldn't hear what you were saying. So I hope you've got some good things to say. Now we've done that, what I'm going to do is share my screen, and we'll go through each one at a time. Okay, so here's the Jamboard for group 1, and this is tree 1. So do we have a nominated person, somebody willing to explain what's the thought processes were, what you're looking at the picture?
I think I nominated myself. It's Monica. Sorry, my camera's not working today. I'm not trying to be incognito, but I can't seem to get it to come on.
No problem, Monica. Yeah, keep talking. So about a couple of minutes each tree, and I'll just throw some things in if necessary. So
right. Well, the good thing was, I think we kind of quickly came to a decision about this tree. So hopefully that bodes well. You can see the yellow line is there. It's a tree that's split apart. So I think really what we're trying to demonstrate there is that measuring it at close to the base, really, because obviously it's split apart. We can't measure the two parts and pretend they're together anymore. And I think taking that measurement, as you know, where it's as intact, which is pretty much at ground level here, it is on obviously on a slight slope there. We'd do that, and then we'd measure how high that was actually above ground level when we did it. So I think that would be the approach there, and then we discussed what sort of tree it was, and given its current state, we decided that it'd probably be a phoenix tree. So it's a tree that's obviously it's blown over, but it's still growing. I mean, it's very difficult to tell from this photo, but so that's what we came up with this tree. I don't know what other people's thoughts are.
well, if anybody has a different thought in the group, just I want to ask some questions as well. But
Yeah.
if there's an immediate different suggestion from somebody, please say now in the group. Say who you are. Can't quite see James.
Oh,
James,
yeah,
are you in the
James.
group?
Hello. Yeah. Could it possibly be a fragmented tree, as it's all sort of split and torn apart?
I like that idea. I think that's a good idea. So it's probably not long happened. A phoenix tree probably would have developed more of the upright branches growing, but it's not like the whole tree's collapsed, is it? And to my mind, it's definitely fragmented. It's broken apart, but that is a different part of the record. So would you?
Right. I didn't realise there was categorization for fragmented, but yeah, I see where you're coming from. Yeah.
There's a standing box in the record which has standing, fallen, and I'm pretty sure that's where fragmented is, if somebody wants to check that.
Oh yeah, I've seen that as well. You're right, Tim. Yeah.
Okay.
I saw it only last night.
Oh, right, well done. So there you are, and it's obviously hollowed. The stem's hollowed, and I think you've got that mark just right. You've got to get that lowest mark across the base of the tree. Somebody's put another mark up here. I think that was just probably part of a discussion there where it should be. So it's recognizing that it has fragmented and fallen, and then it's measuring the closest you can get to what that original girth would have been when it was standing upright, and that is very low down in this case. So I think that's really good. Okay.
Can I ask a quick question?
Yes, you can. Who's this?
It's Pam.
Hi, Pam.
If you have a fallen trunk of a tree that's dead but still slightly attached, would you call it fallen on ground or fallen, or just
if it's the whole tree that's fallen, then you
trunk.
Say again.
A huge trunk, but it's dead, but it's still, because of the landscape, it's still slightly attached to the tree. Would that be dead wood on ground or dead wood
Yeah,
on?
it's a bit in between. If the tree is still alive and rooted, but it is only part of the tree that's fallen, you would not call it a fallen tree. You would just describe the fact that it has dead wood on the ground or hollowing branches, and you could even put a little note in the location and access comments, which would be seen by other verifiers if you wanted to describe it.
So that trunk would be dead wood on the ground, even though it just cannot totally fall off the tree because it's not possible with the landscape.
If dead wood on the ground generally means it is wood that's separated itself from the main tree, so it's separate from it usually.
Okay, that's fine. Well, thank you.
You're welcome. Group 2, sorry, Group 1, keep on going. Group 1, move on to the next page. Would you like to talk about this one?
Yes. No. Oh, it's one of our lines removed.
Lots of little. Oh, should there be more lines on?
Oh, yeah. So so we talked about can I? Oh, is that somebody else doing that?
That's me that's doing that. But
right.
Can you draw you're sharing my screen, so at the moment. So unless don't worry, tell me where you'd want to put another line.
We talked about this. It's obviously it's two trees, twin stems. We're assuming that 1.5 meters is actually just above where that union is and those two trees meet. We're basing that on where the fence is.
Yes.
So what we talked about was, well, we could measure the two extra trunks, and that might be interesting extra information, but the main measurement would be below that and below where those bulges are. There's two kind of burrs or bulges on those trees, and perhaps going just down below where it narrows would be where we would, round about there-ish, yes, would be where we would take the circumference measurements, because
What are you looking at? What are you trying to discover when you look at that tree? What are you trying to be sure about?
Well, we just discussed about whether it was one tree that had split into two stems, or whether it was two trees perhaps planted together, maybe as a bundle, and then those two trees have, because they've grown together, they've obviously grafted together to some extent. It's difficult to tell from that photo, but that's what we were saying. It could either be two separate trees that have grown together from very early on, or it could be one tree that's maybe might have been cut, might have been part of a hedgerow, is something we was suggested, that it's along a fence line there. Was it part of a boundary tree and maybe it was cut and there was two stems and that's why it's developed that way? Was it a genetic thing? So we talked about lots of different reasons why that might have happened in that way.
And so far you've not actually said what the tree form is.
Well, I mean, I think I don't know. I would say it was most likely probably a bundle planting.
That's not in the tree form.
Is it not? Yes. Sorry, no. I haven't got the
help her out, somebody. It's when we've actually got to make some decisions to tick things, and the people who invented the ATI have hope they've got all the possible combinations there.
I'm sorry. I have to hold my hands up. I don't have the form in front of me, so
no,
I'm
don't
just
you worry.
Going on knowledge rather than the
don't
form.
You worry. Somebody else make a suggestion what tree form you might pick for that, preferably in the same team if you.
Multi-stem.
Yeah. I'd agree. It's a multi-stem. There isn't a category for twin stem, but any twin stem is a multi-stem. So that's how you would record it, and you can then put any comments that you want if you and you can put any extra information on the girth of the individual stems. May, you've got a question.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I don't know if you can necessarily know if that's categorically a multi-stem, because what if the tree was planted next to another tree. So they were planted right up next to each other, and they'd grown into each other over time. And, you know, maybe looking at, I don't know what species that is, it's quite hard to tell from the picture, but if, you know, knowing whether the species does often result in being multi-stem or not might help to make that decision. As I said, there's no definitive answer, but that's just another way of maybe seeing this picture.
Yeah,
Yes, it is.
I think
But
it's
we
difficult from that picture to be able to assess whether it's
Yeah,
one or
it
the
is.
other. But yeah, you might be able to tell in the field.
Everybody talks about bundle plantings. Bundle plantings were done, we know that, and they can effectively fuse together at the base, but hard evidence one way or the other you haven't got here. It could be either, but you've got to sort of record the options as best you can on the thing. So calling it a multi-stem makes sense if you measure on the red line. So, and then you can put separate measurements for the yellow line. The yellow line actually gives you more indication of the age of the tree. So those two separate halves have grown up during the same period of time, and their respective ages will be reflected by those girths. So that's quite important additional measurement. I'm going to go on to group 2 now. Do we have a speaker?
Right, yes, I
Hi, Sue.
volunteered or was volunteered. I think we got off quite lightly here, really. There wasn't much debate. Clearly the tree is leaning. It's a maiden, it's standing, but it is leaning. So we measured 1.5 meters on the shortest side, the side it's leaning into, and parallel to the trunk as it's growing rather than parallel to the ground, and that should give the measurement.
That's great. Thank you very much, Sue. I think that's pretty accurate, and a good explanation. You've covered the leaning bit and what side you should take that measurement from, and you've also covered the angle of the measurement. So you don't take the measurement parallel to the ground. The measurement is going to be at right angles to the stem line, to the angle of the stem, and you've shown that really well. No, you can't tell from the picture, which is 1.5 meters. It might be higher than that, but you can see a very strong taper on that tree, and it does give you a very good indication that going a little bit above 1.5 or a little bit below is going to give you completely different measurements. And that's why, because it tapers so much, but that's why as a standard we have to. Could somebody just check that you're muting, please, because we're getting a bit of feedback on it. There's a few people there. So yeah, that's really good. Thanks, Sue. Does anybody else have a disagreement with Sue and your team? Hope not.
No, it was very straightforward.
Fantastic. Let's
No
go on
argument
to
there.
let's go on to this one.
Right, this again fairly straightforward. It's a coppice, obviously.